Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome to Pondering Pandas, a podcast where we ponder about the confusing modern world and try to make sense of it all. We are your host. My name is Jayden.
My name's Ryan.
Hey Ryan, are
Hello.
you feeling poor today?
I do. I think it's a common feeling most people are feeling, I guess, especially,
In this economy? Yes.
yeah, in this economy.
Thank you, Trump. Thank you, billionaires, for being so rich that we're just basically eating dirt now.
Yeah, the inflation, high interest rates, and also, the job market and everything, I think it's creating such a difficult situation for most people. And yeah, I do see many people were living paycheck to paycheck, and now like I see many people are thinking about downgrading their shopping choices. They may go to like grocery in the older days, but now they are going to finding those canned foods instead. So those are the phenomena I'm seeing at the moment.
I mean, if you had the option to downgrade, fabulous. But what if you don't have the option to downgrade? Yeah,
That's why we see the food bank number is growing as well. I think that's one of the reasons.
gosh. I mean, it's a good thing I enjoy eating baked beans over here in the UK, so I'm not complaining too much.
You can survive anywhere. I can tell.
I can survive anywhere. So I guess that leads to our topic today is about money anxieties. And
Ooh.
I think this is a consistent topic for our community of Asians, especially, I guess, immigrants of any
Hmm.
sorts would be having this type of anxiety relating to money, right? Because
Yeah.
they kind of like move to a different land, they have this need to provide for
Yeah.
their family, right?
Hmm.
So it's necessary for them to have this foundation of money to be figured out for their family and not allow like their kids to worry about their
Hmm.
futures.
Hmm.
I guess that leads to the question is like what is your relationship with money and how do we define wealth beyond just money?
Yeah. So my position with money is actually, I feel like being comfortable growing up because my parents have the ability to provide for my daily expenses and also supporting my international studies abroad from China. So
Rich.
no, not really. But I think it's more like related to the Asian mentality. They feel like once you are students, we
Mm,
want to support you as much as possible so you don't have to worry about other things. It's more
yeah.
like a teamwork in a way. So they're doing their parts to support me. So I'm finishing my studies and everything.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Gonna like
so in that case, it's actually very interesting experience to me because I don't have to worry too much about money during my study. But of course, I need to be like mindful of the budget and everything. But those are not too crazy, and I can pay more attention to the stuff like studies and exploring like different like ideas. It definitely gives me like mental space I can work with.
I have a question. So like because you grew up with being comfortable because our parents are able to support us when we go to school.
Hmm.
When we are out of school, is there a gap in between like oh no, like I'm not really being supported by them anymore? Like how do you manage that part? Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like there's a difference between always being supported and like
yeah.
and then once you're done uni and you have like your own job and like there's a certain expectation that you should be able to support yourself. Have you had that experience of not being able to fulfill that gap yet or
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like the expectation normally is after university, you have to find a job and to provide for yourself. I
Mm,
do see some really extreme cases where my friends, like they after graduation, they just got cut off immediately. Maybe even during the university, they have to like do some part time job to support themselves. So they are facing a harder reality compared to my case. I'm pretty lucky. I don't have to worry about being cut off immediately. And they still support me. They understand me, need time to find a job and building my career and also exploring my interests. But on the other hand, I do feel like the anxiety grows up,
Yeah.
accumulates at least after the graduation. I feel like, oh, I need to prove myself. It's more like the teamwork we mentioned previously. They have done their work. It feels like it's my turn to done my work after graduation.
Mm.
So that's definitely a pressure point I experienced. And it was not easy. It was actually not easy to build up something by oneself in a different place.
Yeah.
How about you?
So I guess my relationship with money is relatively similar with yours, but I think I might have like a different perspective in this where the way I took on this question is I grew up not really having to worry about money coming in, meaning my parents are immigrants as well, so they work really really hard for their money, right? So
Mhm.
we're not my parents are not the type of workers that sit around and twiddle the thumbs and collect interest rate type of rich. Like they are manual labor, hardworking, put in the hours,
Mhm.
blood, sweat, tears type of money, right? So it's not like
Yeah.
office work or anything like that. So it's very like hands-on type of hardworking parents. So
Mhm.
I've always been relatively taught that, oh, like it's really hard to earn money, like blah blah blah. Like we need to be really, really
Oh,
grateful in that way. But at the same time, I'm very fortunate. Whatever it is I might desire, my parents, at least my mom, would try her best to provide as much as she can. So like
yeah.
being able to go to uni, she be able to front the entire thing. Some people might have a car to drive and like, okay, like here, my son is able to also have a car to drive. Do you know what I mean? Like she wants me to have that easy life. She wants me to be able to
Mhm.
provide and like all the things that she never had growing up.
Yeah.
So I think moving into adulthood, I think I've built a different foundation of where money has come from.
Mhm.
And that kind of means that now I'm kind of comparing myself with what it means with money comparing with my parents. Right? Like
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
myself right now comparing to my parents is I find myself there's like a huge gap. But in reality, like I've been spending a lot of time in studying and they've mostly spent their time in working. Therefore, they are able to accumulate a lot more wealth in the time, right?
Mhm.
So that's like my anxiety money right now is like moving into the workforce right now. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not working. I'm not making as much money as they are.
Mhm.
I want to be able to do that for them, but
Yeah.
still really need a little bit of support from them because just like the
Yeah.
nature of the economy right now. And the second
But
part of the question was like, how do we define wealth beyond just money? And I think like when I was like before uni, around like bachelor's area, even like I thought about money as very materialistic.
mhm.
It's very like, oh, like a Ferrari and like a huge mansion and like
Luxuries, luxuries.
exactly designer blah 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 like
Exactly.
typical Asian things, right? But like now I guess like I don't know, a few years later I'm reflecting on like what wealth is actually is. And yes, materialistic goods is part of it,
Mhm.
but there is a bigger component to it, which is like being able to have a slow morning and being able to go to the gym and being able to like invest your time into things that you want to be able to do. Like that is a luxury in itself as well. Whereas like my parents do not have that type of wealth and luxury
Mhm.
to go exercise and have a slow morning because they're always just like go 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 go, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
where
yeah,
it's
yeah,
me, like they've provided so much to where I have a lifestyle where I can do the things and experience what wealth can be like. So I need
Mhm.
to be able to bridge that gap in the future. So
Yeah.
I think my definition of wealth have changed from just materialistic goods to different types of values.
Mhm. I actually very align with you in terms of my definition of wealth because I feel like the wealth should be you having the money, but also you have the time to enjoy the money you earned.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like my parents is in a very similar situation. They can be like successful, they can be like respected in their own areas. But at the same time, I don't feel like they have much leisure time for themselves. I do see them like working late or having dinners with different people until like late. Maybe they enjoy those lifestyles. Maybe they enjoy like the business. They feel like they are working for their career and for their achievements. So
Do you
I
think
do.
that's the case? Do you think that's the case that people enjoy working? I mean, I think some people do enjoy some
Hmm.
aspects of the work that they do in their
Hmm.
career, but I
Hmm.
think if a choice was given to them, I don't think not many people would enjoy working.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
I think it's a mix in a way,
Mm.
because I can see that they definitely hate some parts of the work they don't enjoy, like they dealing with some people they don't necessarily
Yeah, they
like
just don't like dealing with people.
yeah, or something like this. But also there are some parts I do see they're enjoying. They're enjoying of controlling certain things and having a project to be making an impact and to become a success in the end. So it's a mix for me. I personally, I don't enjoy this lifestyle. I don't I
Yeah,
don't want my life to be occupied by those routines that I cannot escape. I
yeah.
feel like they are in this track and it's really hard for them to break through because they have all the responsibility or obligations. They sometimes cannot say no.
Or
Um,
that's all they know, right?
yeah, or that's the best choice they can choose from all
Mhm.
the options they have. Don't get me wrong, I feel like they enjoy their life. But for myself, I'm feeling like that's not necessarily my path. So that's why I'm seeking like more factors external to the money itself. That's why I feel like we're aligned in terms of I want more freedom, I want more time, I want more choices to say no, and I don't have to do anything if I want to. I think that's very essential to me.
While being able to fully support yourself and have the money to do whatever you want.
Mhm. Yeah. Back to the first question. Actually, I want to follow up a little bit regarding your part. I heard like you actually get many of the money anxieties from your family
Yeah.
regarding like how to evaluate your time and how you convert it to the money you potentially can earn.
Yeah. How do I explain this? My mom has worked a lot and
Mhm.
she's been through some shit, right? Unfortunately, because she wants to be able to provide the way that she always wanted to after things that has happened in our family.
Mhm.
She has to put in like long hours into her work.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just thought of this example for some reason. I don't know if
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
answers
yeah,
your
yeah.
question. So like
Yeah, yeah.
she works basically like sometimes from 10 a.m. in the morning to 3 in the morning in a restaurant.
Wow.
Um, so long, long hours, right? And sometimes even a little bit later. And then who knows, like she has to like go home and do like home things and like
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
even
Houseworks and stuff.
like accounting things maybe or
Oh, I see.
or this and
Admin
that,
works.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and admin work. So like she doesn't get a lot of rest, right? And then
Mhm.
I was young back then and during my bachelor's and all that stuff, like for me it was like time to meet friends, go parties, and like don't get me wrong, I do go help her as much as I can with my uni degree. I really do.
Yeah.
And there was this one time, I don't know what happened. I was gonna go out clubbing that
Mhm.
night and I was in my car and I don't know what was going on in my head, but like there was just these emotions just coming in and just like seeing
Mm.
my mom
Mhm.
running around the restaurant in a busy time and she's like, "Yeah, you can go now because like other staff is here, so like you can go. So like you
Mhm.
can like go do whatever you want. Like it's 10 o'clock at night, like that time's like a Friday or Saturday, like go clubbing or whatever." And like I thought to myself and I was like, "Holy shit, like why
Yeah.
am I going out partying, like, while my parents is, like, working so hard for the money and I'm
Yeah.
just, like, out there, quote, unquote, "wasting it," you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
I know.
and there's, like, this sense of guilt of spending the money and trying to go have fun, and to this day, I think there is some sort of guilt of me having fun,
Mhm.
but I think fun is necessary. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in therapy, it was kind of outlined that, like, these are the choices that they have made, but you have the luxury to not to make those choices. Like,
Mhm.
if like, she wants to be able to, work 16 hours and be able to provide, okay, fine. Like, obviously, not every parent wants to do that,
Mhm.
but I also feel bad that
Yeah.
she is doing it, right?
That
But at the same time, I don't want to be like her
yeah.
when I'm at that stage.
Yeah.
So how do I figure out that I can, like, balance everything out? Do
Mhm.
you like that sense of guilt is like when you're going out and having fun, it's necessary. I don't care what age you are at. Like, you need some time, some way of downtime and whatever it is that you like to do, whether you like to go out
Mhm.
and have a drink with your friends or stay in and, I don't know, play video games or like just go on the internet and watch YouTube, or it doesn't matter. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
those does bring guilt to me sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
It
yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Definitely. I feel it's really hard for a child to be in those situations because what I'm hearing is like your parents intentionally making those sacrifices and for you to create you more opportunities to enjoy your life or explore your different options in life. But at the same time, you feel like it's a guilt trap in a way. It's a very challenging situation because I feel like any leisure time is something luxurious
Yeah.
that because they don't get to enjoy those leisure time, but you get to. But you feel like you naturally care your parents and you want to protect them from the harm or you want them to have a
Mhm.
great life accordingly. So it's a hard situation. You feel like you are seeing them suffering, but at the same time, you cannot suffer with them and you are having the pleasure instead. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, I think I guess this kind of bleeds into like the other question that we're gonna ask is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
have you ever felt guilt or shame about money and how I dealt with it? Like,
Hmm.
that kind of like leads on to my previous story, right? So like,
Exactly, exactly.
when I think about this guilt part, it has to do with the fun, but I also think about the things that I currently have up until this point, whether if it's like a roof over my head, whether it's like a laptop that I have, or a car that I'm able to drive, or like anything,
Hmm.
like food, water, like doesn't matter. I feel like I have not 100% earned it myself
Hmm.
because it's mostly been given to me through my parents, right? It doesn't mean that I haven't worked before. I mean, I was self-employed for a little bit of a time. Like, I
Oh,
had
you've been working really
responsibility.
hard. I can tell. Yeah,
Oh, you think so? Thank
yeah.
you.
You are working much harder than me.
But that's just how my brain is working. Like, I haven't it didn't come from my account, like all these things. And the way that I'm trying to deal with this is like, I guess I'm putting these materialistic purchases as like achievements in a way,
Hmm.
right? But in reality, I'm achieving in a very different aspect of life, right? Like, I am spending a lot of my time with my bachelor's degree, finish that, and
Hmm.
then try
Hmm.
to rediscover myself a little bit. And then now I'm in the UK doing my master's, finishing up my master's. Like, those are different types of achievements and time being spent. And
Hmm.
yes, they supported me 100% of the way throughout this whole entire journey, but
Hmm.
those are still my achievements.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily materialistic, but it's something. But I can't help but to feel a sense of not having earned or achieved anything
Hmm.
in the materialistic way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I feel like I'm in a similar struggle, if I may say, because I feel
Yeah,
like
how do you deal with it then? How do you
yeah,
deal with it?
many with my achievements feel like it's not translatable in a way.
Mhm,
Don't get me wrong, like my parents definitely want to understand me and have support my dreams and everything and trying to be proud of me and saying like, oh, you made your choice and you having your life. But sometimes it's really hard to translate. I just have this deep understanding that they will be happy for me if I'm finding my true passion. but they will not truly understand how much it feels. They would just say like, if you're happy, I'm happy for you. But for me, it feels like that's not the true understanding. Maybe I'm asking too much, but I know deep down that that's not the true understanding I'm seeking for. I really want them to be truly proud instead of like just being happy for me. I think those two things are slightly different.
Ah, okay.
I think that's a sense of tolerance. At least that's how I feel. They tolerate me for being myself, but I don't think they will be truly proud of me unless I provide something they can feel, relate, and understand, like the
What does that
material.
what does that what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for them? Like, how do you know when you have achieved, "Okay, I have made them proud"?
Yeah, I think it comes to the relationship, right?
So it's not like, "Oh, I bought them a house and they should be proud."
It could be one of those things, but essentially, it's how they treat you. I feel like I do feel like no matter how much they're supporting me in my dreams or my life directions, this power structure remains, and it feels like they are the provider, I'm the receiver, and they are in the more dominating like position.
So would this stop if they stop providing for you and you're able to support yourself and you're able to support them? Would the power structure switch then?
I think so. It would not necessarily to be like really a statement to make, right? It would not necessarily to be like, oh, it's my turn, or it's like I will be the boss now. It's not something like this. But I think mentally people will have the subtle shift
Mhm.
like once those situations happens. They will like reconsider if we are having a more equal relationships. And I think that's why I heard stories more like, oh, once you get older, your parents will become more like friends instead of parents because they are readjusting the relationship with you in terms of the power, in terms of the structures in those cases.
I hope that's true. I hope that's true because I think sometimes it's hard for a parent to let go that is I mean, I think it just depends on scenarios. I think parents and the child doesn't always have to wear just one hat, right? Like they
Mhm.
can be this scenario, like we can be friends. This scenario, okay, I need you to be a parent. This scenario, I need you to be someone to take charge. So it doesn't necessarily need to have one hat in all scenarios and situations.
Mhm.
So I think like once we're able to be able to fully support ourselves, I think the dynamic might change. And plus, as they get older, I don't know about other people, but for me, I would like to be able to take care of my mom. And
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if this is an Asian thing, but I feel like not all, I can't speak for all Asians, but for some reason in our culture, like there's a willingness to like
Yeah.
be wanting to like take care of them in whatever means that might mean for you. Like whether it's like, okay, I'll give you X amount of money per month or be able to come see you every week or however long is a way to express like return of love and like a thank you for like supporting me all this time, like all that stuff,
Mhm.
right? I don't
Mhm.
quite know how much of it I'm able to do. I'm still I mean, I'm not there yet. So maybe we can tackle on that subject when we get there.
Yeah,
But
I totally agree. I want to say, at least for myself, it's mainly the mentality from my end. I feel like it's essentially not regarding what the other party is really thinking. When I haven't proven myself to be able to be successful, I always have this mentality of worrying. So that's more like an internal struggle instead of external one. It's like I'm trying to make sure that I have more power to trust myself to make those financial decisions or make those money choices based on my own control.
do you mean by like you want to feel less guilty as they get older and you're able to try to support them? Like you want to be able to take on that role?
Yeah, that's definitely the result we want to see. But I
Mm.
think for the mentally, it's about like how to regaining your mental confidence regarding getting control and to make your own choices. and not being like really affected by the power relationships or their money dominance they
Right.
established during your growing up and also during your childhood.
Yeah.
I'm seeing money more like a form of energy or resources, just like the
Yeah.
time, like the other resources you may have. So just like a weapon, right? You can use money to do the good things or bad things. It depends on you how you use it,
Mhm.
and it flows, right? I think I don't have extra guilt regarding money, and I don't have additional attachment regarding money.
I think that's like a good way to think about it. But I think for my case, though, money is presented in a way of like a form of love language, in a
Oh
way
yeah.
that, like they know how to perceive as love in a way. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
like even if they can't communicate it, they are gonna
Hmm.
show you through the way that they are putting in the time to make the money and they're putting in the amount of money they're gonna support you. Like that is their grand gesture of how much love they're able to provide for you. And I think for those people who can't receive it in that way, like there has to be some sort of a different type of communication to be involved with your parents to be like, yes, I 100% would love your support, but you need to understand that like whatever it is that you're throwing at me is not going to buy the love. It's so funny because like some parents do that, and I would receive it as more of like, I understand what you're trying to say, but like I also reciprocate in terms of how I treat them as parents, right? Like I help them whenever I can, respect. Sometimes I'm a little bit okay to be a punching bag sometimes, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
because they don't have anyone to go to. And then
Yeah,
that kind of like leaves me of like, okay, well, I'm in a little bit of a disaster now. So,
yeah.
okay.
I want to echo that money is the love language. I think it's really common in the Asian culture, at least, or
Yeah,
from
red
our
pockets. Come
experiences.
on.
It's very common. Like that's why when I was complaining to my dad, say like, "You don't
How
spend
dare
time with
you?
me." Yeah,
How
like
dare you?
how dare am I? Yeah, I just guess I'm evil. Like
How
what?
dare you complain?
Yeah, I basically complained to him, say, "You don't spend time with me, and I don't receive the care in a daily basis. I really want a constant appearance of a father figure in my life, and you're just busy with your like work and career, and you are not being around all the time. I know you're trying, but it's not there yet." But he would be really confused. He would be like, "But I give you all the money, right? So I give you like I provide for the family, right?"
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
think this understanding of family responsibility and also what's the love, there are some gaps between generations. Actually, I have some conversation with him. I do think that's generational in a way
Mm.
because he had a similar situation with his dad and he never learned how to express the love or being able to show the softness because he always believed as a man you need to be tough, you need to be like strong.
I think it's really hard for those parents trying to balance between wanting to provide to their family versus being able to show love in a completely different way. Like it's very hard for
Mhm.
them to navigate those two elements. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So in a case, yeah, I feel like I do have money trauma in my childhood, but not because I don't have access to money, but it's more like it feels like a replacement to love to me, but I don't feel
Right.
like that's good enough.
You want more.
I want more.
You're greedy.
Yeah, I am. As an Asian child, yeah, for sure, I think.
So the next question is, how does fear of financial instability affect mental health and life decisions? For me, the way I looked at this question
Mhm,
is there has been a certain amounts of pillars in life that really supports at least my life is very
mhm,
important, right? I think
mhm,
for most people it's going to be health, money, and time with like their friends and family.
mhm,
And one of the main pillars that I am very confident in is the pillar of health and fitness and wellness. I spent a lot of time in that department, and I'm very comfortable
S-
doing that, like being in
Speaking
that pillar, right?
speaking as a fitness coach. Oh my god.
Thank you.
You're
But
you're
like
ab- you're abusing this.
I am abusing it, but it's true. It is a pillar
It's true.
of
It's true.
human
Yeah,
life.
yeah,
So like but like I have completely neglected the other pillar of money, basically, right? So like I have not been very super responsible with money. So like I guess I never really received education from my family in terms of how to
yeah.
manage
Mhm.
my money. Like, yeah, I hear about saving my money all the time, but I'm like, well, I want to go spend it. Like, I don't want to be like you, just not spend it at all. Like,
Yeah.
saving and penny crunching every single penny. And it
Like,
lets me think about like what I need to do in the next decade to kind of like hone into the money skill aspect of education, and how do I apply the education of managing my money. I think that
mm.
is definitely 100% my goal.
But when you think about it, as I said, I want to see money as an energy or a
Mhm.
tool or a form of resources that you can convert it to different form of stuff. So when you are lacking or you're feeling like you're missing other like departments, it's very easy to use the money to compensate. I think we are seeking for something higher than money or other than money. We don't really care about money itself. I think money cannot buy you happiness.
Speak for yourself. It can
Sorry.
100% buy me happiness.
I do hear one theory, so I will repeat here.
Okay.
It's the money cannot really increase your happiness, but rather it will lower your unhappiness. So basically, it will give you a safe net
Mm.
for you to don't worry about many of the troubles in your life, like the essentials, having the food and having the clothes and having the place to live.
Experiences throughout
Yeah.
life, like being able to travel, being able to like experience events with your friends and family and take them
Mhm.
on vacations. And I think those are happiness in a way. Without them, you can't do it.
Exactly. So those are not coming from money directly. Those are coming from experiences. So it depends on how you treat money, right? So I just want to argue a little bit here is because
Yeah.
I feel like many people, even though they are being rich, they are scared of spending money to try those
Okay.
things because they will feel more insecure if they are spending money like this. They would rather like be a hoarding person and to be like, oh, I want to save all the money I can. I want to hoarding until the end. Those person may not have the chance to feel the happiness from those experiences only because like they are wanting holding the money instead of like the experiences or other stuff that money can buy. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but like the other range or other spectrum of this, if you don't
Yeah.
have the money to experience these things, then you're limited to the amount of activities you're able to do.
Yeah, 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 agree. So that's why I think actually we're aligned. I'm just saying like money cannot directly give you the happiness, but if you're willing to spend your money to do some meaningful things, it can definitely give you the happiness you are chasing for.
Hmm.
But many people are not seeing the money as a mean of resources to convert. But many people are seeing this as the purpose of accumulation. I want to accumulating. I want to have the status. So that's the difference.
Okay. I think it's interesting to think about how people spend the money, I guess, because there are people who are very frugal and
Mhm.
not want to spend it because XYZ, emergency or saving on a house or something like that. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to spend the money. Like they just have different plans for the money as well. And I guess happiness can be defined in very many different ways, in my opinion. Like I would like to define it as like how do I experience things with my friends and
Mhm.
family,
Mhm.
and not necessarily material goods anymore. Like yes, some of them are
Yeah. Yeah.
essential for living and important for function, but
Mhm.
it's I'd rather spend it on things that I find more enjoyment and fulfillment at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Some people would want to spend it on more comfort, which is fine, but I don't
yeah,
know, like it does affect life decisions though.
it
Like if
does.
you don't have that much to spend, then like you're kind of living paycheck to paycheck to save, or for some people they can't save like because they really can't, right?
Hmm.
I don't know, like I think there has to be a certain threshold that the amount of money that you make, once you pass that threshold, you're able to think about what are the extra things that you want to be able to spend on to, I guess, increase your happiness, or things that you want to experience, things you want to be able to buy and trade off with that money
Hmm.
as a form of currency slash energy, the way that you put it.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess the point I want to raise here is that it depends on your goal and how you achieve it with your money. Greediness is endless. So if you are only chasing to accumulate the money, you can never be satisfied. How much money is enough? Like I totally agree with you that there are some basic thresholds regarding like once you pass that, you don't have to worry about the essential needs. That's
Mhm.
why people have those activities recently, like the fire, the financial independence and retire early. They're
Right.
basically making calculations regarding like how much assets or how much money you will need to be able to create your own cash flow, and you can live your life based on the dividends or the investments you have, so you can sustain yourself in the long run. I do think that's a great benchmark to be that threshold. You be say, okay, I have my financial freedom at a minimum level, so I can choose like what the lifestyle I want beyond the basic needs or essential needs. But on the other hand, if you don't have a meaning or goal in your life regarding what kind of person I want to be and what kind of impact I want to make to this world, or how do I do the self actualization, it can be a disaster because I do see many people once they have enough money, they will be like enjoying their life for like 2 or 3 years. They go to all the luxury foods, goods, then they go to yards. They have the helicopter or even enjoying some like private jets, rentals, whatever. Like they're not crazy rich, but they're rich enough.
Mm.
But after enjoying those lives only like for fun and for like enjoyment, they lose their purpose. They'll be like, why I'm doing this? I want to find something that can satisfy me more and to be able to help me to find the meaning of life.
I think what's interesting about this, when you mention like some people have X amount of money and they're able to like, just like go spend and have fun, and then they lose the purpose of life, right?
Hmm.
And I think for myself, I didn't really think about those two things being mutually exclusive. I've
Hmm.
always kind of thought about them being together when making money and having the purpose at the same time to, I don't know, how do I be sustainable with this type of money, or how do I improve lives of other people, or create a better world, or create a better environment in the future. Like that's kind of like always been my thinking in terms of how I want to be able to make money, but I didn't know that some people just have that separate thought, you know?
Yeah, I think you have purpose. I think your life is driven by your dream and goals. You may not have the conscious of this, but you do have your plan. Like
Okay.
I feel that's my observation of you as a person. I feel like you always wanted what you want in a way, even though you don't feel like that's your final answer, but you want to put your time to trial and to see like if you want to make any adjustments accordingly. So I think that's how you start to define your life purposes and how you approach them accordingly, right? I think that's a great.
Mm.
But some people maybe, yeah, they're from like Asian family and they were taught to be successful when they were young, and they feel like they're fighting for their life to be able to fulfill their parents' expectations to be rich, to have a material life is the only purpose. So I do see many of them after they have certain level of success in the material life, they'll be doubting about what's the meaning and what's the purpose. And sometimes they'll be like, okay, I fulfilled your expectation. And what should I do? So sometimes it happens. They are chasing for high income or stable income or really status. But those are not necessarily aligned with their initial dreams. They may be happy, they're stable, but are they going to have regrets? I think many people will. I saw some interviews, like the elders who are like in the deathbeds and stuff like this.
Yeah.
What's the message you want to pass to the young generations?
Mhm.
And many of them are just saying like, don't care about other people's thinking. Like in the end, you realize nobody cares about you at all. It's always your own internal struggle regarding how you see people may think about you and how you worry about like you are doing certain action will affect certain things when you're younger. You tend to be overcautious. You tend to be not really chasing for your dreams and fighting for those things. But in the end, when you get older, you really have those regrets. You'll be like, why haven't I done this? Why haven't say, chase for that girl and to tell her like I fucking love you, right? Those things. Or I didn't try those like different weird stuff that may not align with the expectation from the family, maybe derail me from those life careers. I think the courage was missing once they were taught to be like, oh, you want to seeking for the financial security or stability, or you want to chase for those status or high incomes. At least there will be the struggles.
It's not easy though.
It's challenging. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that's the reality we're facing. I don't have a great answer for that.
I'm
Uh,
struggling. You say that I'm chasing like dreams and all that stuff, and I'm willing to try things, and I don't know, like those little images that you see on social media that people like start digging for gold, and like some people have like
hmm
got it, and like you're
hmm
still like on your journey to still dig, and I think I'm still on that right now, and
hmm
oh my god, there's so many times where I just want to give up, right? Like I just want
Yeah,
to
me too. Me too.
give up and just like climb, just like go onto the corporate ladder. But like every time I look back into the corporate thing, I'm just like, yo, I do not want to be a zombie,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I do not want to be part of someone's clog in the machine.
Yeah,
But at the same time, this road, I guess what I'm trying to say is
it's hard.
choose choose your hard. Choose your
Yeah,
difficulty.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because doing what you want to potentially do and not know if you're going to be successful is hard. And then doing something that you know that is going to be stable, but you're going to hate your 9 to 5, 8 hours of your life, or
Or
more, depends
more,
on what,
or much more.
or more, depends on how senior your position is. That's also hard,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it just depends. You just need to choose your hard. And I think I'm just at a really lucky position where actually not anymore. I feel like I'm running out of time where like yo, I need to start making something or my mom is gonna cut me off and be like, no, I need to retire. See you later. You know what I mean? Like and fair. Like
That's fair.
honestly, fair.
That's fair. Yeah, I just want to echo that. I feel like that's my struggle as well. It's never easy to choose a life that's not stable and not secured. I feel like you have to fail many times before you find the right track and start to accumulate and start to fulfilling yourself, your dreams. And during the process, you never know it will be working or not. And you start to have all those self doubts and to see if you are making a stupid decision and to give up certain like options you may have. So definitely. I had a gap year before. So like 3 years ago, I got tired of a corporate job because like the market is not working for the company. It's a startup company, so it doesn't really have the right marketing direction because things are shifting in the technology sectors. So naturally, I was thinking like maybe it's time for me to take a break and to rethinking about my life directions. In the first several months, I was like so happy. I'm regaining control of my life. I'm starting to have all the options to be like spending money and to travel and to spend time. But after several months, the anxiety accumulates.
Starts to creep up, yeah.
Yeah, and also I'm thinking, oh, am I just using up all my money? Am I going to debts? I trying to tangle the situation, but in the end, it's like just evolves to a panic mode. The feeling is so bad. The feeling
It's
was so bad.
scary.
It's
It's
scary.
scary. Like, you can sink really, really fast, if you're not working on something to potentially support yourself money-wise. Like, yeah, you have I don't know, we talk a big talk about, like, yeah, there's abundance of money in the world, but, like, you also need to learn how to make the income. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
I
you need
agree.
to be able to do it. So, like, how do you shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset in terms of money-wise?
The mentality really affects your mental health and regarding
Mhm.
how you deal with your life decisions. That's why some study shows like many people who are stuck in the day-to-day or paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, they tend to have more limited life options because they don't have extra mental capacity or the mental space for them to have more possibilities to expand their life. So that's actually a modern issue we're all facing. It's the rat racing, it's the golden handcuffs. I think a scarcity mindset, for my understanding, is essentially if you're treating this world as a zero sum competition,
Mm,
which means like if you are gaining something, somebody must lose it. So I
right.
think many of us who are like trying to compete for resources will unconsciously have this mentality. It's especially true in the corporate setting, like corporate ladder, or in those situations. You feel like, oh, if I'm getting the promotion, the other people would not have the same opportunity.
Right.
Essentially, you are motivated by the fear, by the regrets, by the anxieties. You have fear of losing control. You're afraid of not being able to secure yourself in a stable situations. Those are our surviving instincts to keep us survival. Abundance mindset, on the other hand, is actually a mentality of creation. Someone's gain is not necessarily on the sacrifice of other people's loss. If you are giving love or taking care of other people, it doesn't mean you are losing the love. It means
Mm,
you are sharing the love, so we have more love in general. So with this mentality, you will have more faith and hope for the future, and you'll be like, it doesn't necessarily to chase for the short gain. You would allow things to evolve and to see how things are developing by their own course. And in the end, maybe everyone will be benefiting.
I think it's hard to kind of move from one mindset to another very easily
Mhm.
without, I guess, education and lots of information out there. And I think for me, the scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, it's interesting. I'm kind of in between these two mindsets right now
Mhm.
because growing up, like the mindset has been taught that money comes through hard work.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there is a gap between my both of my parents where my mom's hard work, putting in time, putting blood, sweat, and money into the work that she does creates the wealth that we have now. Whereas my dad, unfortunately, has a different relationship with money where he didn't want to work
Mhm.
and made interesting life choices, you know, caused chaos within our family. So unfortunately, that means my dad has never really understood a certain aspect of how money really worked in his mind maybe. Like he
Mhm.
is a very smart businessman, but
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance to learn from him in terms of like this aspect, but in terms of education on money, I think it's very very it has to come from self-interest, Like you need
Mhm.
to cuz for me it started when COVID happened. I don't know about you, but like for me it really started when COVID happened and like I started to look at the stock market.
Mhm.
That's like when Bitcoin started to have a buzz
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That was
that's
the
when I got
rally time. Yeah.
yeah, that's when I started to got like took a little bit of an interest. And then once I moved to the UK in 2022, I decided to kind of like dabble into this education a bit. I decided to listen to some audiobooks about money and how there's so many different type of books in money related and finances, right? It kind of puts me in a different perspective of how money is in abundance in the world. It doesn't need to come from the way that I've seen how my family has made money, and that is
Mhm.
not the only way.
Mhm.
And it is not the only way that the education system has currently taught us how to make money is through a job, right? That is not how that works. And
Mhm.
sometimes even when you're in business, you need to be in the correct business to kind of like push yourself out of the threshold.
Yeah.
Comparing, like, how do I say this? Like having a business comparing to you working for a corporate job, it might have the same amount of money of return. And that's going to have no difference between you owning a business and working for somebody.
Mhm.
And sometimes you having that business, you might need to spend way more time to
Yeah,
earn the
yeah,
same amount of money, right? So
yeah.
there's no point of having that type of business per se. So need to kind of educate yourself a little bit. And I don't know. I think in my mind, I've only learned maybe like 1% of all there is to know about money. So like I said, I need to kind of hone into this pillar a little bit more in my life in the next few years. And hopefully we can make something out of this. You know what I mean?
I feel like for me, as I dig deeper and trying to understand the difference of two mentalities, I'm realizing now is actually if you're afraid of losing.
Mm,
Because if you have that scarcity mentality, it will be naturally like you're either gaining or you're losing. So there's rarely any win-win situation. It's more like competition. You're trying to gain more and on the cost of other people.
yeah.
But because you cannot really see the future, you cannot predict really like 100% accurately, which means like you are so afraid of making any decisions if you have the scarcity mentality, because you will be always worried about losing.
Hmm.
The reason I'm trying to lean into that abundance mentality is that it allows the possibility to evolve. It allows the potential to happen. It allows you to try different things with your open hearted and see after putting all the efforts and how much you can go. When I'm using the abundance mentality, I'm basically telling myself like I'm doing this, I may get nothing. So I don't care. So it
Right.
it actually gives you power to continue because I feel like if in the first place I'm not expecting anything, then anything I gain is a surprise or a motivation to keep me moving. So that's actually will help you to create this positive reinforcement to keep
Mhm.
motivating you to try different things until you find your own answer or the right answer to certain things. So
That's a beautiful way of putting it, though, because I mean, you do need a buffer to have the comfortability to have this type of expectation. So,
mhm. I think it's really important to remind people how much the world is shifting because the whole modern life and all the material life we are having now is based on the industrial revolution only happened like 300 or 200 years ago. And
yeah.
when we have the machine replacing the laborers and when we have the huge boost of the productions and productivity,
Hmm.
and then we have like all the things, right? Like the phone, like the TV, like the cars, airplanes, and all the inventions happen after that. And now we have the AI and everything, right? So all I want to say is that if we are limit ourselves in a scarcity set and believing the world will be like this forever, that would be so unrealistic because the world is evolving, and thinking about like how much life we have and are different compared to our parents with our grandparents, you will see how the world is shifting and how the lifestyle are reshaping over the different generations.
Yeah. I think we did it, though. Thank you for tuning in and being anxious with money with us. So this is Pondering Pandas. If you like this episode, please share it with your friends, leave us a comment, give us a 5-star review. This would really help us grow. We appreciate you pondering with us today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.